All right, America, we have about 1 month left before the midterms. And I will say that this is this is a serious time right here. Are we gonna the question I gotta ask is this. Are we gonna continue voting for real freedom, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness? Or are we gonna continue voting for tyranny and to the point where we have accepted communism and socialism, where our God-given rights would no longer matter to us? That's something to think about when we when we go to when we go vote next month, when the midterm because the midterms are right around the corner. Now, some people might end up going to vote early, and I'm just going to say this right here, in my humble opinion. I do not like early voting because, and the real reason being is because if certain candidates are going to square off, in a certain debate when early voting is taking place, it may be an it may be an unfair it may be unfair to those who who haven't voted yet, and next thing you know, they might end, they might end up voting again. This was a problem in the 2020 presidential election, and I think we need to rectify that. I think we need to remedy that. And it's like some of us, when we go out and vote, we don't do the research on on a certain political candidate. And the problem is we keep voting out of ignorance on some things. But again, I digress. But I will say this: come November, yes, we got 1 month left to vote. To We got 1 month left for the midterms. Now, I will tell you this right here. Many of you already know. Many of you already know. For those of you who've been watching my video, my channel, yes, I'm going to be the one that's going to vote red all down the ballot this upcoming election. Yeah, I'm going to be voting red all down the ballot. You know, especially given I live here, in a progressive leftist run cesspool of a city. You know, I got door knockers telling me of whom should I vote for. You know, can some left wing, can some radical left wing politician count on my vote? And I don't even, I'm not a guy vote, who would vote, who is going to vote left wing anyway. Because I have, I stated before, I would no longer vote Democrat ever again. But again, I'm just going to say this. This upcoming midterm election, it will boil down to this. It will really boil down to this. Are we gonna start voting again on morals and common sense and freedom? Or are we going to be voting for political correctness, tyranny, you know, progressivism, and and socialism and communism? I will say this. Literally since the pandemic, since the beginning of the pandemic, March of 2020, and even since the presidential election, I think a lot of us have seen that this isn't the America that we once known and loved. Now, if you happen to be a radical progressive leftist, you would say otherwise. Because apparently, I mean, let's just look at the statistics. Let's just look at the facts. Inflation is at an all-time high. People cannot afford to purchase some of the bare necessities that need them to clean themselves, or say for instance, like if they need to get from drive to and from work every single day, like they need to put gas in their car. Yeah, gas prices have started to rise back up. I mean, if you look at the prices at the pump. And then let's even go to show, given we have recently Hurricane Ian over in Florida. You know, I pray for those who are impacted by the storm. You got all these clim- climate change alarmists, especially that goofball Don Lemonhead on Clown News Network. You know, talking about talking about Hurricane Ian is all about climate change and crap like that. Climate change, apparently some politicized rigmarole that they always like to talk about, that the left always like to bring up. And I think plenty of us who are politically sane and politically sound, I mean, who are politically sound minded, should know that climate change, this whole thing about climate change, is nonsense. And of course, you're going to have the political left politicizing. You know, they already politicizing Hurricane Ian, and literally blaming it on Ronnie D, the governor of Florida. I call him Ronnie D, but we all know his name is Ron DeSantis. But yeah, you got climate change along these climate change uh dingbats blaming it on climate change. I mean, blaming Hurricane Ian on that behalf. You know, man made can man cannot change climate. I think a lot of people have found that out. I mean, should know about that. And then another thing we got to factor in is, we got skyrocketing crime, all all across every single major city, and even in some small towns. Hell, here in Madison, Wisconsin, there's been, you know, we have already experienced an uptick in crime, and we've got a woke mayor, a woke sheriff of, here in Dane County. They are literally, they have literally, and then we got the current lieutenant governor, Mandela Barnes, who all of a sudden is now running for the U.S. Senate, have pushed for this anti-cop agenda, defunding the police and things like that. You know, especially from 2 years ago when, over in Kenosha, you had you've had this piece of crap thug who was wanted for sexual assault, getting shot by a cop, you know, while he was being apprehended, and and having, trying to have a knife pulled, try to pull a knife on the cops as well. Although the drive-by media, we already know they spin the shit because they literally know they like to lie. They like to lie and manipulate. That's the agenda of the drive-by media. I don't believe I don't believe what they say or what they tell me. And then you got these. You also got these woke PC leftists, mainly the white liberals, the the white leftists. They always want to tell me that, me being a black, being black, that, I'm like emotionally frail, that I'm oppressed and all this other nonsense. But I'm gonna tell you this: I'm not oppressed. I'm not oppressed. You know, yeah, I've experienced, police encounters before, and I never gave the cops any trouble. But again, I and then you got and then you got the I just want to go on the record and say this: America, do you want do you want I mean, we are already under a a catastrophic a current presidency that is catastrophic. Yeah, not just I'm not calling it disastrous. I'm calling it catastrophic because when you look at the facts, you know, unless if you're a deranged buffoon who who relies on, progressive leftist propaganda, if you really look at the facts, with inflation, rising crime, and and a lot of other things in between. Oh, let's not even get started. Open borders. We still have a border problem. We still got illegal immigrants trying to come here so they can suck our system dry. I mean, even though they got bust over, some got bust over to a lot of sanctuary cities and sanctuary states, especially over in Martha's Vineyard, where these upper class libs wanna get their pennies in a bunch and get furious about how they are you know they are saying they don't want these illegal immigrants residing over there because they're a sanctuary city and whatnot. But that's another rant. But all I'm saying is, and then you also got these progressive leftists wanna push hardworking folks like you and I to buy an electric vehicle, and our power grid cannot sustain it. You know, they want to build more electric charging stations, but our power grid cannot sustain it. They want to build like these little charging thingamabobs under roads and whatnot. Our nation's power grid will not sustain it. And here's the thing, they would even if everyone were to get an electric vehicle, that will not stop the cost of oil, because you still need certain natural resources to produce electricity anyway. But yeah, this upcoming midterm election, there's a lot of factors that we really have to think about. And then you also gotta take this into thought. Do you want freedom, or do you want tyranny? Do you want real liberty, or do you want to deal with being told how to think by your own government? Do you want prosperity, or do you want to be at a point where you got to fight over, you know, the essential things in life? That's something what we got to think about when we go vote come November. Because right now, I mean, oh, do you want safety? I also want to say this. Do you want safety, or do you want to be held hostage by criminal mobs? That's also another thing we should also take into consideration when we go vote come November. I am Chuck Johnson, a.k.a. Kid Thunder. I am signing off. You guys take care. Please share this video and make it go viral.